honest with people here. There hadn't been a lot going on.
No.
Now we got a lot.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I haven't peeked at the Angry Beaver Little Piddles weekend wrap-up. But it's like, use the Force. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker. Not Luke Skywalker of Me So Horny fame. Also Mama Juanita. What's your Mount Rushmore of Two Live Crew songs?
It's the first time hearing of the group.
Band in the USA? Wow. Nice knowledge. Nice show prep, ass. No, we're talking about Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Use the Force. I trust you. And I'm not even going to peek at it. You are going to hit all of the topics that the people want to hear about. And I'm not even going to peek at it. I just turn it over to the Lil Piddles Angry Beaver weekend wrap-up. Tara Twellman joining us at 10:35, presented to you by Together Credit Union. That's it. Now it's time for Piddles.
About time. All right.
You felt like a minute 35 was too long for you to spread your wings?
Yeah, it's crazy, but, we'll bring that up later. Let's kick it off. As much as I would like to talk about the weekend that was in college football, I feel like we need to talk about the current Spectrum Disney situation. You referenced a Variety article discussing the ramifications and impacts this deal could have on the future of sports media. Please explain what you know about the story and how critical it could be for the next era of sports viewing.
Well, here's the thing, Jackson. Number one, I think you hit the lead on the nail on the head there.
Thank you.
I don't think it's what most people are talking about, but I do think for those who are, I can't figure it out. The national stories call it Charter. Locally, it's called Spectrum.
I thought they rebranded Spectrum.
So did I.
Across the board.
But when I read this Charter article in Variety, they're called Charter. Oh. So Disney is now telling Charter subscribers to consider Hulu with a live TV option. I mean, it's a huge story. We've talked about it. I've talked about it as much as I've talked about it on this show because it's sports business that is going to impact not only what you see teams locally do as far as their spending goes, but now for a large portion of the listeners to this show, you don't have ESPN. So a week from tonight, the Buffalo Bills go up against Aaron Rodgers. And if you're a Charter customer, Spectrum, whatever, you won't be able to watch it unless you start, going a variety of different illegal routes.
Right.
So the chickens have come home to roost, much less, however, it could be impacting the Cardinals and the Blues, and they're just not going to publicly say it. Secondarily, the biggest story in college sports over the last month, because the biggest story in college sports over the last 48, 72 hours is Deion Sanders. The biggest story in college sports over the last month or even last decade has been realignment. Right. This realignment is not born out of people going, it makes sense for Stanford to go play against, Maryland, or Stanford to go play against Duke. It's got nothing to do. It's all about television. But these college realignments are based on the television dollars that are based on the old model of subscription. And that is already going tumbling down. So what I would tell you is you're about to see even more chaos. But in the short term, what do people care about how it impacts them? All right, well, here's how it impacts you. Charter is digging in. For the purpose of the discussion, we're going to call it Charter. They might call it Spectrum because I'm going to read from an article that explains their position. And I will do it briefly because for the most part, most people probably don't really care about the details. But here is the deal. Charter has been paying Disney $2.2 billion to carry its programming. Charter went to Disney and said, we also want to include the ESPN app and the Disney apps for our subscribers because otherwise we're going to lose them to just subscribing to your apps.
Right.
Disney, understandably, said no. I understand Charter asking for it. Both businesses are in trouble because of people getting away from paying for cable like they did for a number of years or paying for satellite. And so Charter's reasoning, if I can sum it up, is this. We know many of you right now listening to this are on hold to cancel the service. We understand that. And we are going to lose a large amount of revenue from people who now will switch to Hulu or AT&T or YouTube TV or whatever. We understand that. And as much as we are going to lose, we are going to lose less than if we were to pay Disney $2.2 billion. And so we are comfortable with the losses of the customers because that will be less in losses than if we were to pay Disney $2.2 billion. So it's a business decision. Now, what winds up happening for those who don't necessarily follow the details of this, you just go, oh, everybody's greedy. And then you get your likes and then, off you go and not really tending to what the issue is. But this is a material moment in sports broadcasting, and it is a material moment for fans because I don't think that this is something that's just going to be remedied. I think the logic was, okay, it's a long weekend, they'll figure it out. I don't think that that's necessarily what is going to happen. If you observe the markets, you saw media stocks go down on Friday afternoon. This could be the moment in which you see Charter be the one to go, we're done, we're out. And so if that is indeed the case, many of you who have been Charter/Spectrum customers are going to have a decision to make. You can go, okay, well, then I guess I'm going to switch. I'll switch to YouTube TV. All right, you've picked your poison. Guess what? Now you can't watch the Blues and Cardinals. Well, then what's my choice? You can go to Fubo, but Fubo doesn't have TNT or TBS. So if you want to watch some of the Blues nationally televised games or the NCAA tournament, now you're out of luck there. Go, okay, well, then I'm going back to Charter. Okay, well, now you don't have ESPN. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to AT&T/DirecTV. Okay, well, now you don't have Channel 2 in St. Louis, Fox 2,
right,
or Channel 11. What's the answer? So here I am, and that's why I've been spending money on both Spectrum and YouTube TV for the last year plus because of this ridiculous situation. But it's not like people are hoarding money. People are trying to survive in an environment when no one has come up with the solution to the situation. It's always labeled as greed. And that, again, is a populist talking point. And if I could come on here and do that and give you a level one thought process all day long. But that's not necessarily what's really going on. Businesses are losing money. Was ESPN, I'm talking about in Bristol, Connecticut, were they greedy when they laid a bunch of people off? Was that what that was about? Was that about increasing profit margins? No, it's about survival because the market has shifted. The problem is now, because of the market shift, you're going to see sports that are not named the National Football League trying to figure out how to survive in this environment because all of these rights fees are going to go down. And the only one that is thriving is the NFL, right, maybe the NBA. But Major League Baseball has a situation, as we've talked about quite a bit on this show, and the NHL is about to have its situation. And now you see college football, and if you didn't think that was a situation, the reason why all these teams are moving around is for television purposes. But the television rights fees are based on subscriptions, and the subscription model is blowing up in front of our very eyes. It is anarchy, and I hope, for people's sake, that Charter and Disney get a deal worked out here over the next week. But I think that this could be one that could be in for the long haul. And if that is the case, people are going to have to be switching or just going, I guess I don't get to watch ESPN. And plenty of programming, whether you like SportsCenter or not, or whether you like ESPN's perceived politics or not, the games are there, and now you'll have a choice to make. So this is a significant moment in sports broadcasting in what has been, for the last 3 or 4 years, an absolute reshaping of the landscape in sports media.
Yeah, I think this is such a major moment for similar reasons that you're talking about. But if you're someone who's had cable for your whole life, you've heard about all this stuff when it comes to streaming and the media rights stuff, but you've, for the most part, been okay. If you're a Spectrum customer, there's the Amazon Thursday night game, there's some baseball games on Apple, and if you're a Doggies fan, MLS games on Apple. But if you now you have seen the direct result of cutting the cord affecting you, the cable customer, because now you can't watch ESPN. And that is a direct result of people cutting the cord and the rights fees and all of that going on. So you're right, it's the chickens coming home to roost. It's a major moment because those who've paid for cable and been okay for not having to switch around a bunch of different platforms now have that coming on to them. I mean, this is way, way different than, the NFL doing one game a week on Amazon. This is losing ESPN.
I would gather, just like it wasn't a coincidence that Disney cut the feed of ESPN right at the start of the college football season on Thursday night, I would imagine a moment that could really get it going will be a week from tonight when Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are getting ready to call Aaron Rodgers' first snap for the New York Jets against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
And people go, oh, my God, I can't watch Monday Night Football. Now, I know some in St. Louis, I hate the NFL, I won't watch, and that's fine. You're welcome to that. I totally understand it. But for many around the country, and there are 15 million charter subscribers around the country, in all due respect, in much bigger markets than St. Louis, they're going to either peel off or they're going to raise hell and then peel off. And if Charter's digging in going, doesn't matter, we're comfortable with taking the losses, then you aren't going to see a change. And you have a standoff for the ages on this one. If Charter truly is going to dig in. Meanwhile, as I said, Disney is telling Charter customers to go subscribe to Hulu.
Right. Wonderful.
So that's where things stand between those two parties. Taylor Twellman with us coming up at 10:35. Did you watch? I don't want to put you on the spot. It's not fair. I watched the Doggies on Saturday night. You're most eligible bachelor. I assume you were on the back of a cigarette boat at the lake.
Right. As most of the most influential people in St. Louis do.
Wow. You just called yourself one of the most influential.
I mean, is there any argument? But I bet on the Doggies. I did not watch the game in its entirety. They had great odds, even without no Leuven, but yeah, that shows his impact.
I'll be the first one to say, I'm no soccer wizard, but God, that game was officiated so terribly. And by the way, both directions. It wasn't like, I'm mad that the Doggies lost, so I'm going to blame the officials. No, it was warm garbage.
Yeah.
But the one that was the worst was there was a handball. And
saw that.
And just like, we didn't have a good enough angle to replay it. And
VAR screws everybody, but you can't see a handball.
Fortunately, with the help of Messi, LAFC lost. So that is necessary for the quest in the Western Conference. We'll talk about that with Taylor Twellman. Can't wait to talk about college football this weekend. NFL is starting up this week. It's all coming up here on Balloon Party, which is driven by ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN.
Hey, St. Louis, I'm here to talk to you about Circa Sportsbook. And if you're heading out to Las Vegas, maybe for that first weekend of the NFL season, you got until September 9th at 2 p.m. to sign up for one of their two major contests with $14 million in guaranteed prizes. Now, you must register in person at Circa Sportsbook in Nevada, but weekly picks can be made through a proxy that you'll register with from anywhere. First up, the Circa Millions with $6 million in guaranteed prizes, $1,000 per entry, max of 5 entries per person. Pick 5 teams against the spread every week. The winner takes home $1 million. There are quarterly and season-long prizes to go along with that. And then they have the Circa Survivor Pool with $8 million guaranteed to the winner or winners, $1,000 per entry, max of 10 entries per person. Pick one team straight up every week to win. If the team loses or ties, the entry is eliminated. You can only pick each team once in the season. Go 20-0 or be the last person standing to win. Again, these contests close on September 9th at 2 p.m. So get out there to Circa Sportsbook in Nevada to sign up at Circa Sportsbook.
ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota, better than ever for you, the customer. They service all makes and models, regardless if you bought from them. Visit stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com.
For heating and cooling services, repairs, and installation, get in your comfort zone with Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. Providing residential and commercial HVAC services for over 50 years. Visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
What a weekend it was in the world of sports. It's time now for Lil Piddles Weekend Wrap-Up. Presented by the Angry Beaver, a couple of blocks south of Busch Stadium. Mention Piddles for $5 off any pizza.
Welcome back. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. My name is Tim McKernan. The program is driven by Mungan St. Louis Acura and Alton Toyota. We welcome you to get involved by texting in the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. Coming up at approximately 10:35, Taylor Twellman joins us, as he does every Tuesday, presented to you by Together Credit Union. It is Jackson shining bright like a diamond here with the Little Piddles Angry Beaver weekend wrap-up. Question number 2.
Sure. Colorado TCU.
Such a dramatic pause. Why?
Because
you were inhaling there.
Well, my second question I actually think goes better after my third question. So I'm
you're
flip-flop them.
reordering on the fly.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
it's
I think
fun.
it's best. What do you make of Coach Prime's ability to turn around a team so quickly? Granted, TCU may not be what they were just 8 months ago, but he still went on the road to a major college football school and left for the win. Do you think if Coach Prime sees continued success, we could see more Hall of Fame level football players want to enter the college football realm as opposed to going to the pros to coach? Where do you think the mindsets of guys like Deion differ than someone who wants to coach pro ball?
Oh, I love the questions. So good that I want to take them bite by bite, though. Let's start with question 1. Could you repeat it, please? Fine, sir.
Sure. What do you make of Coach Prime's, Deion Sanders' ability to turn around a team so quickly?
While I do believe that he has done some incredible things in a short amount of time, I don't think most people paid attention to Colorado football, maybe going back to the 5th down game. But that's one game.
Sure.
TCU is not TCU from 2022, so we need to. It's not a. I'm not. This isn't me chastising you. I'm saying in general, it's one game, and TCU might be a. Who knows? I don't know what their schedule looks like this year, but they might not necessarily have a great year themselves. So I just want to, for the purpose of now. With that said, I happen to be watching that game from the beginning, and in a group text with some people, and I said the potential story of the year: Deion Sanders turning around Colorado. And that was after seeing 2 series, seeing the way they played defense on TCU, and then also seeing the speed. I mean, there's hurry-up offenses, and there's what Colorado's doing. And then to have 2 guys playing both ways.
Crazy.
It's at another level. If you would have told me that I can't wait to watch Colorado and Nebraska, I would tell you, it must be the mid-1990s, and I'm back in Columbia, Missouri. But I can't wait to watch Colorado and Nebraska this weekend.
Yeah.
It's an 11 o'clock start. Game, first home game for Sanders in Boulder. Colorado, a 3-point favorite. I would imagine there will be like 90% of the volume of bets, not necessarily the money. The volume of bets will be on Colorado because people will overrate Nebraska loss. They'll overrate their loss, and they really should have won that game. And they may underestimate Colorado's defensive issues. So you have a really sluggish offense going up against a sluggish defense in Colorado and Nebraska. With that all said, there is such merit to conveying a message of belief to people, and that isn't just being a coach. Hey, why not us?
Right.
And then also, if you aren't with the program, get the hell out. You can go whine on social media. Be my guest. I almost flipped up the double birds right there for some reason. But that's like, he's like, yeah, if you're not going to want to grind with us, then go on. Yeah. Don't really care. I love that. Deion Sanders, however, Jackson, to answer another one of your questions, is so unique. It isn't something that an up-and-coming coach can replicate because Sanders has the credibility of being one of the greatest athletes of the last 30, 40 years with what he did with both the Braves and the Cowboys and the 49ers. Then he kind of bounced around. But he won Super Bowls. He has that skill. And if he lost the job, it's not like he's going to go, oh, boy, got to make a mortgage payment.
Right.
He doesn't have to care. And so he gets to run the program his way. He has the credibility, and if people don't like it, then they can either fire him or they can leave. Take your pick. But he's going to do it his way. And his way was being laughed at. I was watching ESPN's college football program on Saturday morning, and I can't recall who it was, saying, yeah, he might get blown off the field. And then, they're 21-plus point underdogs. And they go out there and they win that game. And it was never in doubt that they were going to be able to compete.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a matter of would they be able to win with having some defensive questions. It is a great thing. I don't think it's necessarily something that you can see take your pick of whatever other NFL player or Hall of Famer go and do. Deion Sanders isn't having success because Deion Sanders is an NFL Hall of Famer and also a two-sport athlete. Deion Sanders is having success because of his I don't give an F personality that also is just an absolute believer in a system of convincing young people to work and to believe. And now he's in full-on I told you so mode, and can't blame him. A lot of people doubted it. Now he's taken something that worked at Jackson State, and through one week, he has it working and is the talk of college football, and should be, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, you look at what Colorado was up against. Granted, you're absolutely right. It's just 1 week, but you got a basically whole new team with a brand new coach going into TCU, Dallas, a football haven, a team that was in the national title game last year. You're a 3-touchdown underdog, 8-1 on the money line, and you go in there and win. I mean, that's like, Shaden Smith or Shaden Sanders. Is he ready to take on Power 5? Check. After the first drive, you're like, yeah, he's ready. Travis Hunter, is he the real deal? Check. He might be a first-round pick in both sides of the ball. It was crazy to watch, and it was the only good game on, really, at that time. So they had the college football world by the throat, and they took advantage.
Yeah, I'm legitimately excited to watch Colorado and Nebraska, which is something I never thought I would say. But I can't wait to watch this year.
Yeah. And you're right. It's not Deion's kind of one of one in his ability.
Who else can go and do that?
Right. I don't know.
And you also have to have a personality that borders on arrogance and confidence.
Self-promoter in a sense.
But it's worked.
Oh, yeah.
And the key is, and this is, I always say, that the person who doesn't give a damn is the most dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
That's the guy who's going to win the fight.
Yeah.
He might get knocked out on one punch, but he also might surprise the hell out of people. Right. And so far, again, 1 week in against an opponent that is not the same as they were last year, he has done it. I am really intrigued to see what they do the rest of the way, assuming they remain healthy with Sanders and with Hunter, because that's a world-class group of athletes just running plays at an absurd pace.
Crazy.
That's what it looked like in week 1. Maybe it'll be exposed in week 2 and go, God, wasn't that a fun little story? How about that whole deal? I mean, hey, you're talking about a desperate Nebraska team with Matt Rule getting whacked by the Panthers, was in position to close out a game on the road against Minnesota, turned it over twice in the final 5 minutes. They're trying to rebuild something in Lincoln. They're trying to rebuild something in Boulder. They go heads up on Saturday.
Yeah, I'd say I can't wait as well. And also, try to where credits due, Colorado's all-white uniforms were gorgeous.
I agree with you. And that's what gold looks like. Gold is not yellow.
No, not in this case it isn't.
Let's see. Taylor Twellman's going to join us on the other side of the break. Red is not pink. These are things that we can talk about.
Yeah, I don't know. Now you're walking on thin ice here.
No, red is not pink.
Okay. Best of luck to you.
That's fine. I'm in the Deion Sanders camp.
Yeah.
We'll talk it over with Taylor Twellman. That's coming up next. This is Balloon Party, driven by ManningCast St. Louis Acura. I'll tell you, I want to win ESPN.
The Missouri Army National Guard can help you get the education you need to land the career you've always wanted. The Guard will pay up to 100% of your tuition for up to 39 credit hours per academic year at 90 colleges and tech schools across the state. You're eligible as soon as you enlist. Learn more about the many benefits that come with serving part-time in the Missouri Army National Guard. Visit NationalGuard.com today. Sponsored by the Missouri Army National Guard. Aired by the Missouri Broadcasters Association and this station.
If you're thinking of trading your car to a dealership, stop. You don't have to trade your car to the same place you buy your car from. Get full retail value without the retail hassle at sellmycarstl.com. That's sellmycarstl.com.
Are we waiting on your little pill to hit home base?
No, I got a chewable. It works faster.
Oh, so we can get naughtier sooner?
And longer.
Victory Men's Health has launched VictoryRx.com. Get prescribed our #1 ED medication. It has the combined power of Cialis and Viagra in a chewable tablet and better absorption. It's easy. Get a consultation on VictoryRx.com and your ED chewable. VictoryRx.com, where men's sexual health matters.
Sponsored by Dave Sinclair Buick GMC.
ESPN Sports Center.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals did not play yesterday, but they play tonight. Heading down to Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Braves. First pitch is at 6:20 p.m. That was their Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back. This is Balloon Party, driven by Munganast, St. Louis Acura and Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Action Jackson Burkett with you on the program, and we welcome to the show Taylor Twellman, presented to you by Together Credit Union. Taylor, good morning. I have been looking forward to talking to you ever since watching that game on Saturday night. I don't know anything. I know I don't know anything, but I was really irritated by the officiating on Saturday night. Both ways, and I wanted to get your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the pictures after the game, Tim, even in real time, the second goal from Adeniran, the flag's got to stay down. And the reason why, it's difficult for an assistant referee to see through the attacking players. So she sees Adeniran in an offside position because he's ahead of the defender, but the defender's technically on the other side of the body. She can't see through that. He can't see through that. So any assistant referee in that scenario, now with VAR, keep the flag down.
Yeah.
Because then if it's clear and obvious, then you will be helped by VAR.
Yeah.
Now, I agree. The flag was raised. They can't overturn that. They cannot overturn that because it's not clear and obvious that he's on, and it's not clear and obvious that he's off. So you have to go with the call on the field. The handball's got to be checked. I don't care who tells me what. Have a look at it. If you say it's not clear and obvious, I'm okay with it. But at least go through the mechanism of looking at it, because from my point of view, the viewpoint of what we had on the field, it looks like the left arm of the defender moves backwards. I think you got to have a look at it.
Okay. All right. We're on the same page on these things. That's good to hear. I was perfectly prepared to be scolded. And again, I thought it was on both sides. I thought the game, I mean, the official let the teams play like at a level I had not seen. As a player, do guys like that when that's going on, or is that chaos at that point?
It all depends on what the first call of the game and the first real controversial moment, how the referee handles that call. Then you know that sets the tone. The biggest argument that any player or coach will have is the inconsistency without the game. Now, I'll say Alan Chapman throughout that game let him play, because quite honestly, there was a tackle on Johnny Russell in front of the Sporting Kansas City bench. How, one, the whistle wasn't blown, and two, that's not a yellow.
Yeah.
So the calls on both sides left a lot to be desired, but players will tell you if it's consistent, then I'm going to tell you, listen, there's no excuses. You got to play the game the way the game's being called and play until the whistle's blown. And I think Alan Chapman, from that point of view, was consistent.
He was consistent. I would agree with that. It was a free-for-all like I have never seen for a City game. Taking the officiating out of the equation, what were your thoughts on what transpired on Saturday night in the loss?
Adeniran's the real deal.
Yeah.
He looks like a proper number 9, one that is completely comfortable playing by himself. I think there's a real discussion to be had. I don't think I'm taking him off the field. I think he was the only real threat. Gal Klaus does not look completely confident. He doesn't look fit to me. He's not the same Gal Klaus that we saw, so you've got to play him into fitness. And with the way that game was being played, I think Adeniran, I would have kept him on the field. Now, in saying that, I also understand that in this system, Bradley Carnell, you've got to put fresh bodies on the field. I thought Leuven coming in the second half, maybe the worst game he's had. 2 or 3 set pieces to hit over the top. He was a lot of just in between decisions. And so, listen, you've got to rotate players. You played Wednesday. I understand why Leuven didn't start. I don't think he was great in the second half. I will say the one thing that we now know from the outside looking in, Kyle Hebert's not a fullback. So, Tim, you remember the Nashville game? You called me. Jacob Schaufelberg completely blows that game up. Kyle Hebert is not a fullback, because the first goal from Sporting Kansas City, he's completely unaware of Shallowy where he is. The entire first half, they're getting in behind him. Kyle Hebert is a center back. So either you play 3 center backs and it's a 3-5-2, 5-3-2, whatever numbers you want to come up with. But Kyle Hebert as a fullback, it just doesn't work. Nashville exposed him in that game when Nowinski was taken out at halftime. This game as well. I think Nielsen's still trying to play himself into fitness. There is a lot of things I like about his profile, the way he plays. but Polito asked a lot of questions of Parker and Nielsen, and I don't think those two did extremely well in dealing with one of the more nuanced and diverse number 9s in Major League Soccer.
I want to get your perspective on what took place in what was the game of the weekend with Messi and helping out with City's quest, because they went in and took care of LAFC, a star-studded turnout for that one. Your thoughts on that and, of course, the impact here locally?
Yeah, it was interesting, right? You know, it's one of those moments I'll tell my grandkids about, calling that game, being in the environment. You know, very rarely do you show up at an MLS game and everyone's in their seats an hour before the kickoff, let alone 20 minutes before warm-ups. Every celebrity in the world wanted to go to that game. Beyonce was having a concert at the same time. Tim, that didn't sell out. It was $750 to get into the building, with some tickets going as much as $6,000-7,000. It's just an interesting time to be in Major League Soccer. There were so many different things that I'm going to tell the story about, but the fact is, I'm a nerd. I love the game. I love the on the field. If LAFC scores a goal in the first 15, 20 minutes, they blow them out. Bouanga has arguably the worst game in an LAFC uniform, and Messi makes them pay. 2 assists, great game. But I was stunned with how LAFC was inefficient in the final third, and it's a gift to St. Louis City. Now, Wednesday, September 20th, when LAFC comes to St. Louis is going to have to find a way to get 3 points at home. If they do in that game, then you and I are having a different conversation about the number 1 seed.
Yeah, that is an absolutely huge moment in this season, the biggest game to date, and that is coming up here in just a couple of weeks. Taylor Twellman, brought to you by Together Credit Union every week here on Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Taylor, appreciate the time as always. Looking forward to talking it over next week and see how they bounce back this coming weekend. Appreciate it, man.
See you, brother.
There he is, Taylor Twellman, with us here on 101 ESPN and on YouTube. We will take a break, come back with the final 5 questions on the Little Piddles Angry Beaver Weekend wrap-up. Tim McKernan, Action Jackson with you. This is Balloon Party, driven by ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN. If you are in the market for a new car or a pre-owned car, I would like to recommend, from a first-person perspective as a customer, ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota. You can go shopping right now at stlouisacura.com and at altontoyota.com. It's ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota. Go online at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com, or if you would like, call or text the secret phone number, 314-252-0029. It's ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota. And even if you didn't get your car from ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, Alton Toyota, you can get your car serviced at ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota, and experience the customer service that has people raving and many people making the move to ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota. 314-252-0029. You can call or text that number, and you're talking directly to the people in management, or go online at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. ManningCast, St. Louis Acura, Alton Toyota.
Great legacies don't happen by chance. They're built with strategy, experienced guidance, and a vision for the future. Have you outgrown basic financial advice and are ready to start your legacy? Let's chat. Plan Corp, redefining wealth management through one simple value. Always do what's right for our clients. Complex financial planning for families and businesses right here in St. Louis since 1983. Plan Corp is your financial life advocate and now accepting new clients. Visit startmyplan.com to get started with a complimentary 2-minute plan analysis.
The demand for qualified and skilled trade workers has never been higher. You can be assured a well-paying job with great benefits for you and your family by enrolling as an install floor layer with the Carpenters Union today. The best learning experiences come from hands-on, real-life work, career stability, earning money while you learn, and the ability to work with advanced technology, all ready and waiting for you. Apply to become an install floor layer with the Carpenters Union. Visit the careers page at carpdc.org to get started. That's carpdc.org.
.101 ESPN has your last chance to win free tickets to Guns N' Roses with special guest The Pretenders this Saturday night, September 9th at Busch Stadium. Tickets for the show are on sale now, but we've got your shot at scoring free tickets to Guns N' Roses. Get entered to win right now, either on your 101 mobile app or at 101ESPN.com.
Welcome back to Balloon Party 101 ESPN, driven by Mungan S. St. Louis Acura, Alton Toyota. Jackson, I've kind of, if you don't mind me peacocking around here, we got 10 minutes.
Oh, boy.
I know. That's a wide berth for the time management skills or lack thereof that I bring to the table in our 1 hour of midday jubilation. So
Greatness. Yeah.
Can we finish the Lil Piddles Angry Beaver weekend wrap-up? Let's see. I don't know.
Okay. At what point do you think it will behoove college football as a whole to have more marquee matchups in week one? I feel like for TV ratings, having one in every time slot would be beneficial. It was a tad deflating watching TCU Colorado, a great game, followed up by a few more hours of games with 4 to 5 touchdown spreads. What do you think is keeping them from incentivizing quality week one matchups?
No problem. I'm happy to handle this one, and that's going to allow us to keep moving. The moronic setup that is you win 6 games, you go to a bowl. So schools will schedule. Everybody does it. Take your pick of whomever, random school, and that's what you have in the early part of the season. I hate it because I love college football, but this weekend you had Florida State, LSU. I don't think people were necessarily expecting Colorado TCU to be what it was. I mean, that's a 21-point underdog.
Right.
So it's kind of a results-oriented discussion. I was anxious to see how Colorado, that's why I wanted to watch at the beginning. How are they going to come out? And then when I saw it, oh, God.
At least there's star power in that matchup.
Because of the coach and the kids coming over from Jackson State. But that was clear that they were going to be a different operation from the outset. Yep. And I can't tell you how much I love. I'm like a Colorado fan now. And so then you had Clemson losing to Duke, but again, that wasn't one that I think people expected. No. So it's motivated by getting early season wins. So if you get 6 wins, you go to a bowl, which used to mean something. Now it means nothing. And that is the reason for it. Thank you. I will take more questions.
Now, you know who isn't on the model of get 6 wins and play some cupcakes is Colorado. I don't know if you've seen their upcoming schedule, but it is nasty.
Now, but was that set up before Deion Sanders got there? I would assume he didn't just get to revamp the schedule.
I would think
5 months ago.
I would think the same thing, but why would I also don't understand why Colorado is.
Well, who's their non-conference? Because they're in the Pac-12, which went undefeated this weekend, right?
Yes,
and only didn't cover one game, by the way.
Right.
How about that?
Unreal.
That's really something.
So they got Nebraska. I mean, this is just their next games.
So they got TCU, which is that's Big 12. I can't keep track.
Yeah, they're Big 12.
TCU's Big 12.
So is
but Colorado's Pac-12. Right now.
Right.
So that's a non-conference game. This is a non-conference game. All right. Nebraska's non-conference.
Non-conference, and then they go Colorado State, which is Mountain West.
Okay.
So that would be, I guess, their one other. And then it's Oregon, USC, Arizona State, Stanford, UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, Utah.
Wow, so they only play 3 non-conference games. Right. And they're all quote-unquote legit.
Yeah, big boys. I mean, Colorado State is probably the least.
But that's not a let's get 6 wins. They play each other every year.
Exactly.
Usually I feel like that's usually their first game, those two schools.
So it's odd to me that, Colorado is playing this, brutal schedule. And, even teams like Alabama have
Sure.
We saw Middle Tennessee State.
I say everybody. I guess I'll withdraw it. Colorado. Look at them.
Speaking of former Blue Bloods, Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers took a shelling yesterday versus the Duke Blue Devils. Pause for Vitali noises.
Well, you talk about Duke, and you usually talk about basketball. But look at the job this guy I've never heard of is doing down at Duke.
There were some really great memes going around yesterday about Duke beating down Clemson. Some guys
is David Cutcliffe still there? No.
They said guys in the secondary who are getting their CPAs next year are shutting down the Clemson Tigers.
What is going on with Clemson's offense?
It's crazy.
This has been going on for a few years. I suppose one theory I can offer is that Dabo Swinney is outspoken on NIL and not being a fan of it.
Yeah, he has had some interesting quotes on the whole NIL situation.
So I guess, again, this is our second time using the chickens have come home to roost.
Yeah.
First on our television situation and now on our Clemson Tiger downfall.
Yep. I'm gonna relocate this to me. I'm gonna localize this to
Very
me.
TMA of you.
Exactly. I am on record that I do not like Dabo Swinney and the way he conducts himself on and off the field. Psychoanalyze my Schadenfreude. And do you think sports fans across the country feel a certain level of hate watching a team to see them lose?
Of course. Your second question, yes. Why don't you like Dabo Swinney? You want me to tell you why you don't like Dabo Swinney? What an asinine question this is.
Right, but
why don't you like Dabo? Why you tell me?
Do you think it's human nature to not like somebody and then exclusively watch them to see if they lose?
Sure, we have plenty of people who hate this show listening to it right now.
Right, yeah, it's lovely. Hello to everyone out there who's doing so.
That's not exclusive to this show. Might be a higher percentage. That's just the game. Yeah. So why don't you like Dabo Swinney?
I think it can be centralized to I hate how he runs out on the field, full sprint in his
you
khakis.
Want to see him blow out a hamstring
before his team. He runs out and ahead of his team, kind of saying, "I am the star of the show, not the guys behind me." And I understand other coaches run out.
I don't know if that's the reason, but I understand
it's part of the reason.
He has issued a statement.
It's part of the.
He said, "I am the story here, not the players."
He says that by sprinting. Goodness gracious! And it's the part of Dabo Swinney I don't like that I will mention on this show.
Okay. Is there other? What else? This is interesting.
Yes, I'll save that for.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is this going for QFTA?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
send your questions in for me and Jackson on QFTA. They don't have to be sports related. Team McKernan at Inside STL, and it can be hate mail too.
Please.
I welcome erotic stories also. It's a grab bag of fun, and we'll be recording that after our sales meeting.
I might title it a grab bag of fun.
Grab bag of fun.
Yeah,
we'll bring it to the 101 audience. Team McKernan at InsideSTL.com. What else?
One more question. We got time for one.
No, I know. We might have time for 2.
Well, I only have one more.
Oh, perfect.
I think this one is pretty good. Peyton Manning has been hashtag teasing a third host for the ManningCast.
Yeah, I saw they showed the auditions with Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins.
I thought that was good.
That was good. Good teasing.
Yeah, and many are speculating that the third Manning brother, Cooper, could join the fray with Eli and Peyton.
The funniest of the group.
Yep. Do you think this move is necessary for the quarterbacking duo who often feature guests in each quarter of their broadcast? Second, who would be your ideal former athlete/celeb threesome to watch call football?
I don't think it's a good idea, actually. I say that, and of course, I'm not in the trenches.
Right.
So it's one of those things. It's very hypocritical of me, like when people say, you ought to do this on TMA. I'm going, well,
you don't know the ins and outs.
But, and on top of it, kind of like TMA, it's working. So why mess with So I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I don't know if one of them's going, yeah, I don't really want to do this that much. We kind of did this as like a joke.
Yeah.
And now it's becoming a real commitment. Maybe that's it. And so maybe it'll be a rotation of sorts. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it works. I think the main reason it works is you have the dichotomy of the personalities, although they're brothers, so they can give each other hell.
Yeah.
But one guy is, you know, a really quick speaker, and the other guy is not. But that's what makes it work.
Yeah, I think Eli's actually funnier.
It's like unintentional comedy, you know, and so it works perfectly. You don't want to mess with the dynamic.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised by it, but at the same time, I got to tell you, taking football out of the equation, I feel like everything Peyton Manning has worked on outside of his football career has been really good.
Omaha Productions is done.
Yeah, Omaha Productions, exactly right. So that's the thing. It's like I'm sitting here being critical, but, you know, he's got to have a reason for it. I just don't know what it would be. What do you think? I think the thing works so well. I love watching it.
Right, and I think having guests on kind of serves the role of a third host.
I agree with that.
Because they have a rotating, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's the Zoom calls can go sideways. And
clearly when it's like one that's forced on him for promotional purposes.
Yeah, but like when Marshawn Lynch was on, it was like instant offense. Like you could have him on every week, and I'd tune in to watch that because I think he's outstanding. In terms of like ideal former athlete,
I'm sorry,
celeb, but it's really a chance for me to get off a joke that I would like to see.
Like announcing a joke's about being made.
Well, I would like to watch as Brian Cox as Logan Roy and his son Logan, or his son Kendall, I should say, and his other son Roman watch and call, you know, Bengals Browns in week 12.
So random, but I like the idea.
I think it would be outstanding.
Did you read this somewhere, or this was just something that popped in your head? Were you like eating mushrooms over the weekend?
No, like if you could have any three people in the world call an NFL football game.
Sure. That'd be, I got to tell you, couldn't be more random, but I love the idea.
And you would watch.
I absolutely would watch that. You have Logan Roy and Kendall and Roman.
Yeah, Roman. Yeah, so you'd have Kieran Culkin, Jeremy Strong, and Brian Cox. I think that would be.
I would tune in for that.
Especially Brian Cox, the Scottish guy. I don't know how much he's into it, but I think it'd be great.
People are saying bring in Brady. I think Brady's under contract, albeit I have been shorting that play forever.
Yeah,
and I was ahead of the market on that, and I'm excited about being ahead of the market. By the way, I'm going to get this in. I don't even know what time. It might be 11:20 for all I know.
Yeah.
What did we tell the people about gambling on college football in the early part of the season?
Target the guys who have...
Target the teams with a
stars.
high number of starter retention. And Missouri is one of those teams. Florida State. That was a clinic.
Oh, yeah.
That was eye-opening. Is Florida State that good, or is LSU that bad? And you can say, it's probably a little bit of both. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think Florida State might be that good.
Yeah, he's sick.
Toledo. Now, Toledo didn't win. What a play by Illinois on 4th and 4. I was watching that because I bet Toledo. But I covered. Texas A&M covered. UConn covered. Missouri is another one. I'm trying to think of, I felt like there was another one that I made a play on. It's an amazing thing. Yeah. If you have a group of guys who played together and they were starters, how it works out early on in the college football season. So if you're looking for wagering purposes, it worked again this year. Just as an FYI.
Love it.
Jackson, so you can get paid this weekend.
Love getting paid.
All right, time for us to shut it down. BK and Ferrari are up next for Action Jackson. I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura on YouTube and on 101 ESPN.
Join 101 ESPN for Blues and Brews on Friday evening, September 22nd at the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. Get fired up for the Blues season at